Shalom, shalom to the saints, man. Also known as the nation of Israel. Peace and blessings to everybody. We're gonna dive straight in. The last lesson that through the spirit that I was able to do was Colossians chapter 2. It was going into let no man therefore judge you with meats, strong drink, new moon, Sabbaths, high holy days, and through the spirit we was able to dissect that through the precepts. And this lesson here is going to be going into something similar. Only God can judge me is what we're going to title this. Only God can judge me, or you can't judge me. This is definitely a favorite, something that a lot of Christians, so-called Christians, use, but we're going to dissect it and see if that's true according to the holy oracles, according to the Bible. So we're going to start off with Matthew chapter 18, and we're going to start at verse 3.
It's the book of Matthew chapter 18 and verse 3. And said, verily, I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
So the Most High, he doesn't care if you're a pastor, a deacon, big mama, grandmama, granddaddy. Your mind has to be converted and come that of a little child, meaning you need to humble yourself down, and be retaught. We must be retaught this Bible because we haven't been taught it correctly through so-called white supremacy, slavery, just all type of deception in the earth. We haven't been taught our heritage, our history correctly. So we're gonna dive into it. Let's get another precept. Let's see. Right here, we're gonna go with second Esdras. This is second Esdras chapter 14. And we're gonna start with verse 34. We're gonna read through verse 35.
Okay. It's the book of second Esdras, chapter 14 and verse 34. Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive, and after death ye shall obtain mercy.
Read on.
For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
So we have to let go of these things we've been taught again. We have been taught, like we went into just a second ago, man. We've been taught incorrectly, man. So, as the Bible says right here, we have to subdue our own understanding, meaning that we have to be again converted, come as a child, and be retaught so that we can understand the righteous paths and the mysteries and things, to be able to live in this society. But it goes on to say, I wanted to bring out verse 35 as well, because it says, for after death shall judgment come. So you want to be judged or corrected or reproved right now by your fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, because you don't want the Lord to condemn or to place judgment on you. So make sure we have that in our mind because that's going to be a heavy point that we're going to refer back to throughout the lesson. So let's get a classic real quick. Romans chapter 15, verse 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4, and it reads, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through the patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
So the things that were written aforetime, which is this Bible, again, the holy oracles, were written for our learning, right? We should be digesting these biblical customs, traditions, the laws, statutes, and commandments, and applying them to our life. This is what the Lord left us with, as much as we needed to, Lord willing, obtain the kingdom. So we gotta read it. we got to actually, you know what I'm saying, deep dive into it and study it to get the understanding, right? You know, so we're going to get straight into the lesson. You know, I did want to say this ahead of time, man. You know, again, the title of the lesson is Only God Can Judge Me. You know, and I find that really crazy. But again, I used to think like this as well, coming from the Christian church, right? You know, one thing about it is I never thought of, because I've never read it, is that there's a whole book in the Bible called Judges. You know, so you know, we got to make sure we wrap our mind around that. There's a whole book in the Bible called Judges, right? And we're gonna pull a couple precepts out of that as well. Let's bring out a Christian favorite, Matthew chapter 7. We're gonna read through verse 2 out.
Okay. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and verse 1. Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with that judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again.
So judge not. They really kind of lean on Matthew 7 and 1 more so than 2. They don't never hardly read down, but you know, they lean heavy on Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1. Let's dissect what this is going to. Okay. So again, this is a Christian favorite. This is one that they use a lot, right? You know, basically one of the many verses that they use to say, you can't judge me, you know, so on and so forth. But what this is really going into is that we can't be hypocrites when correcting a brother or sister, right?
That's right.
I can't tell a brother that he needs to wear fringes or zeets on his garments if I'm never wearing mine. Like, you know, that doesn't even make sense, right? Or to grow his beard, and I'm using the doggone the Gillette razor every week, man. That's called being a hypocrite. You can't be like Jake in these commercials using the Gillette razor, you know what I'm saying, then telling your brother he need to grow his beard out. So that's what this going into. For with what judgment you judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you. Meaning, if you measuring this brother and you know, basically sizing him up and telling him he need to do this, it's going to be measured to you as well, right? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just to get more examples, or to keep the Sabbath. How am I tell the brother to keep the Sabbath and I'm out partying Friday night, you know, and at the day party Saturday afternoon buying up the bar? Like, that's called being a hypocrite, right? So, you know, what this is going into as we read on down, and we're going to come back to this as well, you got to get your spirit right regarding that transgression, right? Then you will know how to correct your brother. We're gonna read down later when it goes into, you know, first you got to pull the beam out of, or the mote out your own eye, you know what I'm saying? And then you'll be able to see how to correct your brother in righteousness, right? So we're gonna let's go back to the law real quick. Let's see. All right, so it also goes into this, I believe, in Exodus 28, but we just gonna get it right here in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15 through 17.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, and verse 15. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes.
All right. So what's going on right here is that you can read about it. I believe it's Exodus 28, if I'm not mistaken. But what was happening is that at this time, everybody was coming. Moses was the judge, right? At this time. And what was happening is, I believe his father-in-law, you know, had gave him instructions and told him, hey, man, you know, this is a lot on you. You know what I'm saying? As one person, you're judging the children of Israel just by yourself, right? So what he did was he took chief men, wise men of each tribe, And like the scripture says right here, he made them captains over thousands and captains over hundreds and captains over 50s and captains over 10s and officers among the tribe to help with judging or correcting the people, reproving the people, or giving them, or also giving them their judgment if they were in a transgression that required them to, face certain judgments as far as their transgression. Read on, verse 16.
Verse 16. And I charge your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the strangers that is with you, and the strangers that is with him.
So it says, it says judge righteously. What does that mean? Judge righteously. So we know what righteousness means. If you've been listening to the lesson, you can go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25. Righteousness means keeping the commandments. So you should be judging or reproving your brother or your sister based on the commandments of God, right? What God says is right or wrong, not what the world says, because dealing with the white man and the world, you will be justifying incest, justifying pedophilia, justifying homosexuality. And now today we think that this is righteousness or this is okay, right? But no, that's not what Moses is talking about right here. You should judge righteously between every man and his brother or woman based on the commandments of God. Go ahead with verse 17.
Verse 17, ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. So,
Moses is giving the commandments regarding judging, right? So he says that ye shall not respect persons in judgment, meaning that, shoot, if I have a homeboy that I'm cool with, and or a family member or brother, and you see them going off, and you like, nah, man, I don't even want to disappoint or cause any strife between me and my brother, so I'm just gonna let that ride. No, you shouldn't be a respecter of persons in judgment. You like Moses said, you should hear the small as well as the great, right? Because at the end of the day, this is our duty to reprove and correct our people, because we don't want it to get to the Most High, and then we didn't correct or reprove our brother, and then we have to bear that iniquity, right? So, again, I want us to wrap our mind around this. Is pretty much why a big reason why our community is at disarray, right? Due to the fact that we don't have any judges, counselors, mentors, etc. Because our people don't want to, we don't want to correct one another, man. We hate correction, and it's almost uncomfortable, which I love. Me personally, I love constructive criticism, man. One of my brothers in the knowledge, which we ain't name dropping on here, but Tribe of Judah, man, I love that brother, man. He always be on me, which that's real love, man. We should be able to come to one another and say, hey, brother, man, you got to improve in this area. That's real love, man, right? In our community, nobody wants to stand for righteousness and correct our people. We too busy and comfortable with our people living in sin, break the commandments of God. We just too comfortable, living in sin. I was listening to a lesson earlier, man, and the brother was bringing it out about basically what we was just going into in Matthew chapter 7, being a hypocrite, man. So again, man, we gotta correct our people, man. That's what our duties is, right? So again, know that this is our heritage, right? A righteous way of living. I was thinking earlier as well, man, isn't it wild that, the devil, the so-called white man, has convinced our people that it's an awful thing to keep the commandments. That's what Moses is going into. These are the law, statutes, and commandments, right? You know, when according to the Most High, that's an amazing thing, right? So I actually brought this, let's see, I actually pulled up this image, man, on eugenics, man. I was looking at this earlier regarding some of the deception and deceit that the white man, the so-called white man, uses to manipulate our people, right? So let's look at some of this stuff down here, man. History, physiology, right? Geography, politics. Our people thinking that being a Democrat is the way to go. That, you know, we're gonna, you know, if we can only get the Democrats in office, if we can get them in the Senate and then in the whatever, man. I don't get involved in all that, man. You know, religion, you know, education, medicine, you know.
Salak, more like Democrats.
You know what I'm saying? Hey,
Right, that's right.
Bring it out, man, because at the end of the day, you know, as a wise brother once said, man, they both two wings of the same bird, man. You know, so they're working together to, you know, manipulate you guys, man. You know, so we got to come up out of politics, man. Politics, actually, we got to come up out of all this stuff down here, man, because none of it is biblical and benefiting our people. You know, as far as bringing us up. So, man, I thought this was just very interesting, man. You know, some of the ways that we manipulated, man. But yeah, man, y'all can check that out. We're gonna get back to it. Let's see here. Give me a second. What is this right here? Sirach chapter 17, verse 11.
Okay. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 17, and verse 11, and it reads, besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for inheritance.
Right, so the Most High gave us knowledge, which is the Bible, and the law of life, which is the scriptures as well, as an heritage, man. So this is our heritage. This is our knowledge. This is our wisdom, right? You know, so we have to be diving into this, you know, to seek out our customs, our traditions, our way of living, how God, you know, the Most High designed, you know, for us to be, right? Let's get one more precept to back that up. Sirach chapter 24, verse 23.
The book of Sirach, chapter 24, and verse 23, and it reads, all these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High God, even the law which Moses commanded for inheritance unto the congregation of Jacob.
So all these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High God, even the law which Moses commanded, which we were just bringing out, for a heritage unto the congregation of Jacob, which are the children of Israel. Jacob is the forefather of the children of Israel only. So this book is for the children of Israel. This book is for the saints. You know, the ones that the Lord made a covenant with by sacrifice, right?
I got precept. If you ain't right. Deuteronomy chapter 4. We done went to this one before, but we're gonna hit it again. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5 and 6.
Let me get that for you, brother. I'll bring it up. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord, my power, commanded me, that you should do so in the land whether you go to possess it.
What?
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
All right, that's going into the nation of Israel. You know, our wisdom and our understanding lies in the law, statutes, and commandments.
Very good precept, my brother. Very good, very good. Yeah, man. So this is our heritage and our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 18.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 18, and it reads, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment.
So judges and officers, which Moses was assisting with setting up, because again, it was a lot on Moses to be judging the nation by himself, right? So he set up judges and officers as we went over captains of thousands and hundreds and, all that, and officers to assist with judging, reproving, and correcting our people. And they shall judge the people with just judgment. So again, this is what we really missing out on today. We don't have any captains of thousands and, in our community, to be able to reprove and correct our people, man. We love living in sin, so we ain't trying to get no correction or reprove no way, right? Let's get, what is this? Okay. Leviticus. Yeah, let's go here. Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 15.
God. The book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
Right. So you shall not judge in unrighteous judgment. Meaning that you should be correcting and judging your people based on the commandments of the Most High God. And again, it's going into what we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 1. There shall be no respect of persons. We don't care if he's, the homeless man or if he LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You should always be judging your people in righteousness, right? Thou shalt judge thy neighbor. Who was the neighbors? Because I see a lot of people go here sometimes, but the neighbors, when Moses was given this, was the children of Israel. It wasn't the so-called white man, right? It wasn't the Chinese man, the African man, the Moabites, the Canaanites. It wasn't that, right? And just to be honest, let's go ahead and read verse 17 real quick.
God. Verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Mm-hmm. Thou shalt anywise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him.
And not suffer sin upon him. You shall not hate thy brother in your heart. If you don't correct your brother, you hate your brother. We just gonna call it what it is. Real love, is correcting your brother and sister. That's what real love. Con. That's the definition of like the brother said, rebuke, man. That's real love, man. I was telling my kinfolk this before he came into the knowledge, man. And I was really heavy on him about this, man. And I'm sure he recalls it, but a brother loves you, man, or a sister loves you when they care to tell you what you're doing wrong to assist with your salvation, man. That's what that's really doing. If people in your life are promoting sin, they really don't love you, man. They really don't care about you. One that really truly cares about you is going to tell you what you're doing wrong because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That's what Christ was doing. That's what the apostles were doing. That's what the disciples were doing. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. You need to get your mind right. That's what they were going out there doing, begging, and pleading with our people to come into the marriage. If y'all didn't see that lesson, you need to, we'll have to send it back out, make that request and we'll get it sent out to you. But that was a wonderful lesson. So like I said, man, it just made me think of something, man, that folks, really out here basing a real friend off if they bringing a bottle to drink on, if they bringing some Hennessy, if they got a 12 or a couple blunts to get high with. That's the standard for being a real friend now, man. Not this right here, what we read, right? You know what I'm saying? I heard, a brother say that, well, they were just having a discussion, and he was just like, well, the brother does always bring deals when he come through. What does that mean? He a real brother and a good brother based on him being able to bring a 6-pack? Yeah, man, I people out here jammed up, man. But as we can, based on everything we've covered thus far, we can see that, we can judge, correct, and reprove or warn our people of them being in error. And I meant to say in error, Salaki. Now judgment, let's deal with that a little bit. That comes from the Most High God, right? So let's get a few accounts, on judgment in the law, right? So most everybody's familiar with this account. Most everybody, if you're not, we're gonna deal with it and we're gonna get you familiar with it. So let's bring out Numbers chapter 15, and we're gonna start at verse 32.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 15 and verse 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day.
So the brother was gathering sticks, right? And what you usually gather sticks for is to start a fire, right? So keep reading.
Verse 33. And they found that, and they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation.
So they brought him to Moses and Moses' brother Aaron. Keep reading.
And they put him in ward because it was not declared what should be done to him.
So the reason that they brought him to Moses and Aaron is because they knew he was in error, but they didn't know what should happen to him. So they wanted to go to the judge, or one of the leaders in the congregation, which was Moses and Aaron, to see what should be done to the brother. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 35. And the Lord said unto Moses, that man shall surely be put to death.
Who said that?
The Lord said unto Moses, that man shall surely be put to death.
Read on.
All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the count.
Read on.
And all the congregation brought him without the count and stoned him with stones, and he died, as the Lord commanded Moses.
As who commanded Moses?
As the Lord commanded Moses.
As the Lord commanded Moses, the great and terrible. So the brother was stoned to death for picking up sticks, or like we mentioned earlier, he was gathering sticks, to make a fire. What he should have done. And again, the tribe of Judah, the brother brought out the lesson last week on this, on the Sabbath. He should have prepared well and done this before the Sabbath. So the Most High gave us, again, law, statutes, commandments, and judgments, some that resulted in death for breaking, such as breaking the Sabbath. The brother was breaking the Sabbath. Other judgments that resulted in death were, adultery, idolatry, being a homo, just to name a few. But let's get another account. This is one of my favorites right here as well. Let's see. Let's go 1 Samuel. Let me see. Let's start at verse 12, chapter 3, verse 12.
It's the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 3 and verse 12. In that day, I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end.
Keep reading.
For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his son made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever.
So what this is going into is in, let's go back to chapter 2 real quick. Is that Eli's sons was sleeping with the women of the congregation. Let me see. Let's read this right here to get a little bit more context.
It's the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2 and verse 22. And it reads, now Eli was very old and heard all that his sons did unto all Israel, and how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So they were, like we were going into, they were laying with the women that in the congregation. Keep reading.
And he said unto them, why do ye such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all this people. Nay, my sons, for it is not good, for it is no good report that I hear. Ye make the Lord's people to transgress.
Keep reading.
If one man sin against another, the judge shall judge him. But if a man sin against the Lord, who shall entreat for him? Notwithstanding, they hearken not unto the voice of their father, because the Lord would slay them.
So they really wasn't even studying for real what they what Eli was talking about, or whatever. And and what happened is that let's we're gonna let the Bible bring it out. Let me see. Okay, cool. Let's bring out verse 29.
Verse 29. Wherefore kick ye at my sacrifice and at mine offering, which I have commanded in my habitation, and honoreth thy sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the chiefest of all the offerings of Israel, my people.
So what this was going into is that he really didn't do anything about what his sons had did, right? Let's read verse 32.
Verse 32, and thou shalt see an enemy in my habitation, and all the wealth which the Most High shall give Israel, and there shall not be an old man in thine house forever.
Read through verse 33.
Verse 33, and the man of thine, whom I shall not cut off from mine altar, shall be to consume thine eyes, and to grieve thine heart, and all the increase of thine house shall die in the flower of their age.
Judgment from the Lord. Judgment from the Lord, right? So what happened right here? Let's recap. Okay. And now the Lord judged Eli's house, right? There shall not be an old man in thy house forever. Judgment from the Lord. Right? Why? Because what happened is that again, Eli's sons, they were sleeping with the women in the congregation, right? And Eli really, what happened and what we read in the law, he had respect of persons for his sons, right? He ain't do anything about the women. His sons basically, he did check his sons, and his sons was just like whatever, And what happened right here? It says, and all the increase of thine house shall die in the flower of their age, right? That's basically in the flower of your age is your prime. All the increase of thy house shall die in the flower of thy age. So what happened right here is judgment of the Lord. The Lord judged the house of Eli due to his son's transgression, and due to Eli basically, again, like we were saying, having respect of person for his sons, right? So that's what happens, man. Again, I'm led to believe that some of the stuff we going through, and because the Lord does not change. It's because we hadn't spoken up about some of the stuff that's going on and corrected or reproved our people, right? Paul says in Hebrews chapter 10, if I'm not mistaken, Hebrews chapter 10, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Most High. So, my kinfolk always say, it's better for you to receive correction from brothers and sisters now than to receive the judgment of the Most High, right? So You know, we can't refuse to say something when we see it. You know, that's in Leviticus chapter 5, I believe. We'll get that account real quick. Chapter 5. Bring it out in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1. You still up?
My bad. I was on mute.
All right.
Leviticus chapter 5 and verse 1. And if a soul sin and hear the voice of swearing and is a witness, whether he have seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity.
So you're gonna bear that iniquity if you don't say anything about it. If you got that, we not snitching spirit that we all been raised on. We just not gonna say anything about it. Then you're gonna bear that iniquity. You know, and I was talking to my kinfolk earlier, man. I wanted to make sure we just, brought this for, before the people, man. He always bring out a good point to me, man. Nobody had a problem, when we were living in the world, living for the world and committing all type of sin, man. Nobody had a problem with anything then, right? But when we changed our lives and started keeping the commandments, because the reason I'm bringing this out is because our people hate correction, man. We hate reproof. And when we start changing our lives and we start correcting and reproving our people, everybody had a problem with us. I ain't gonna say everybody, but doggone near everybody had a problem. And that's okay, man. But you doing the work of the Most High by letting his people know their transgressions. That's commanded of us to do, right? Let's bring this out real quick in Psalms chapter 141, verse 5.
The book of Psalms, chapter 141 and verse 5. Let the righteous smite me. It shall be a kindness, and let him reprove me. And it shall be an excellent oil, which shall not break my head. For yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities.
So let the righteous correct me. It shall be a kindness, and let him reprove me, right? So this shall be your kindness being corrected by your brother, by your sister. Again, this is what we're commanded to do by the Most High, man. This is what we're commanded to do. Let's see what I want out of this right here. It's Proverbs chapter 15, 31. Bring that out up.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, and verse 31. The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise.
So the reproof of life, you're gonna be wise for hearing the reproof of the correction. This is like life. You know what I'm saying? That's how the brother was bringing it out right here. This is like life among the wise. Keep reading.
Verse 32, he that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding.
If you turn away correction, you hate your life, man. In a nutshell, that's what this is going into. You hate your life if you refuse correction. You hate your soul. And then it reads, he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. Let's read through verse 33.
Verse 33, the fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility.
So in order to receive instruction and reproof, you have to be humble. Right?
That's right.
You have to be humble. And to fear the Lord, that's how you're going to receive instruction of wisdom, which is the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? Let's see. Let's bring this out real quick. Sirach chapter 45, verse 26.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 45, and verse 26, and it reads, the Most High give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness. that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever.
So the Lord, the Most High, give us wisdom in our mind to judge his people in righteousness, righteous judgment, right? Again, we went over what righteousness is. You know, Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25, keeping the commandments. That should be your gauge of what you're, judging your people, right? That should be your gauge. Let's see what I want. What's this up here real quick? Oh yeah, definitely want this right here, man. Man, this I'm gonna be 100, man. This Solomon's prayer, man, it's one of my favorite things to read, man. We all should be praying for this, man. But if we hadn't read it, we finna get into it right now. Go ahead and let's start at verse 5 right here. We're gonna read down through. I really want to get all of this 14 if possible. Yeah, let's start at verse 5.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 3 and verse 5. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared unto Solomon in a dream by night. And the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee.
So the Lord appeared to Solomon in the night, in a dream, and basically said unto him, what is it that you desire? Right? Keep reading, verse 6.
Verse 6, and Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in upright of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou have given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day.
So David kept the commandments, man. Right? He walked before thee in truth and in righteousness. Keep reading, verse 7.
And now, O Lord, my power, thou have made thy servant king instead of David, my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in.
Man, I want us to check out right here the humility of Solomon, man. He said, I'm but a child. I don't know if I'm going or coming sometimes. Right? So we have to keep the spirit of humility, man. Right? Keep reading.
Verse 8, and thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, and cannot be numbered nor counted for multitudes.
Keep reading.
Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
Read that one more time. Let's make sure we are digesting what Solomon, the Lord came to Solomon and asked, what is it that you desire? This is his answer right here, verse 9. Read it again, King.
Verse 9, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
Solomon asked for understanding, an understanding heart to be able to judge the children of Israel, that he can discern or know between good and bad. That's out of all the things that he could have asked for. This what our forefather asked for, man. Because he was dealing in a humble spirit, man. He wanted to do the work. He wanted to be a good example and to live for the nation of Israel. Keep reading.
Verse 10. And the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing.
So this pleased the Most High. That Solomon came in a very humble spirit and asked for an understanding heart to be able to judge his people. Keep reading, verse 11.
Verse 11. And the Most High said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked for riches for thyself, nor have asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment.
So this pleased the Most High, man. The Most High said, man, you could have asked for anything, huh? You didn't ask to live a long time. You didn't ask to be exceedingly rich. You didn't ask, to have the life of thine enemies in your hands, but you asked for understanding, man, to be able to judge your people. Keep reading.
Verse 12, behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. Verse 13, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days.
Read through verse 14.
Verse 14, if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days.
So, man, did you see what the Lord did for Solomon? Because the spirit that he was in, he gave him all the things that he could have asked for, but didn't. He was in a humble spirit, and all he asked for, Lord, I just want understanding to be able to judge your people. Man, we got to be moving in this spirit, man. That's the spirit that we got to be moving in. We sitting out here asking for $1 million in our prayers, and to be wealthy, and to have a Range Rover and all that, man. We need to be in the spirit that Solomon was in right here, asking with humility things that he needed to build up our people. He wanted to be equipped with that, and the Lord blessed him with way more because the spirit that he was in, right?
All right.
Let's get this in John chapter 7 and verse 24.
It's the book of John, chapter 7 and verse 24. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
But judge righteous judgment. Don't judge based on, we're not judging on appearance. We judging according to the commandments of God, right?
Good.
We getting close to time. I did kind of want to talk about, I know it's so-called Martin Luther King Day, so I wanted to, say a couple things about that brother, but we may not have time because we're going to get this word before we move on to anything else.
Bring it out. I'll take what time you need.
All right, so see, what did I want? Let's this second Esdras chapter 1, and let's read 4 through 6.
It's the book of second Esdras, chapter 1 and verse 4. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, go thy way and show my people their sinful deeds, and their children their wickedness, which they have done against me, that they may tell their children's children.
Well, we'll get verse 6.
Verse 6, because the sins of their fathers are increased in them, for they have forgotten me and have offered unto strange gods.
So we've forgotten the Most High. This is a commandment right here in verse 5. We're supposed to be showing our people their sinful deeds. But again, we got to make sure we, equip and getting our spirit together ourselves so that we're able to judge our people in righteousness, because we can't be hypocrites, right? That they may tell their children's children. This information should be passed down to our descendants, right? Our children's children should be getting their spirit right so that they can be in the spirit to judge, reprove, correct, warn our people, right? See what else we got up there. All right, so this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11. We're gonna read 31 and 32 out.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 31. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world.
So this is the, this is the chastening of the Most High, man, right? The Lord sends men out here, his servants, to do his work, to reprove and correct our people. But we should be reproving ourselves, man. We should be judging ourselves. We should be studying ourselves. That's something that I'm heavy on, man. Which I love constructive criticism, but I'm always reviewing me. Like, shoot, man, was I in error right here? Could I have handled this a little bit better? Going into the text, which is the double-edged sword, as we always call it, man, to see what I'm doing wrong, what I need to get right, getting cut up. All the time I'm cutting myself up through the spirit, man. Reading the word cuts you up. That's why folks don't want to read it. It's supposedly, I don't know if it's true or not, it's the most popular book, but it's the least book read. Because folks don't want to get into it and see what it is we doing wrong, right? Because again, when the Lord puts judgment, it's too late. It's too late after that. We finna get a little on that as well. But I did want to say this, man. We living in the days of Noah, man. The times of the prophets, right? Christ, the disciples, the apostles. In those days as well, man, the Most High sent his judges to warn the people, that destruction is coming. Matthew, the 24th chapter, goes over how some of the same things would be going on that was going on in the days of Noah. Let's get a little bit on judgment before we wrap it up. Right here, Isaiah chapter 61, verse 8.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 61 and verse 8. For I, the Lord, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offerings. And I will direct their work in truth. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them.
Man, this is what I want right here. The Lord is basically saying he loves to kill, man. The Lord loves judgment, man. He loves it, right? I believe Nehemiah called him the great and terrible God, man. Right? Because he's an amazing God, but hey, you don't want to, hey, like Paul said, it's a terrible thing, right? To fall into the hands of the Lord. The great and terrible. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 10.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Hamashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he have done, whether it be good or bad.
Can you read?
Knowing therefore that the terror of the Lord, we persuade men, but we are made manifest unto the Most High, and I trust also are made manifest in your conscience.
Right. So we all got to appear before the judgment seat, huh? So we got to be getting our spirit in order, man, because we going to receive what we done put down. Everybody living their best life, man, you know what I'm saying? Because I believe that's in Ecclesiastes, a sentence against an evil work isn't executed speedily, man. And I'm paraphrasing, but we all gonna receive what we done put down according to what we have done in this life, man, whether it's good or bad. That's what Paul is saying right here. Knowing therefore that we fear the Lord, the terror of the Lord, we persuade men to do the right thing, to keep the commandments, right? So that's what we going into, man. I believe Christ said, when he returns in Luke 18, will there be found faith on earth? Because this is a faithless generation, man. We done forgot everything when it comes to this Bible, man, to our heritage, our culture, our customs. So we got to come back to the Most High, man, because we got to make sure that we be found faithful, you know, when we stand before the judgment seat of the Lord, man. You know, so like my kinfolk always tell me, it's better to have men judge you and you repent than the Lord to put judgment on you and you die. I want to get something real quick in Isaiah 26, I believe. Let me see if this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is it. Run this out real quick. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 21.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 26 and verse 21. And it reads, "For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain."
See, this is what we don't want right here. This is what we don't want, right? We don't want the Lord to come up out his place, because it's gonna get bloody. It's gonna get gory. The blood will be at an all-time high. Yahweh's garments will be drenched with blood. So we gotta repent. We gotta change our life. We gotta have a spirit of humility to take correction and reproof. And it's okay, man. You don't gotta get upset about it, right? Because one that really corrects you is the one that really loves you, man. If they let you continue in sin, then they don't love you, man. Let me get this. 2nd Esdras chapter 9. Let's read verse 9.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 9 and verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment.
So we abuse the ways of the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 10, "For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. And they that have loathed my law, while they have yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it."
So we despise this Bible, man. We just gonna call it what it is. We despise the laws of God, right? Because sentence against an evil work isn't executed speedily. We despise correction, and we despise this Bible. Read through verse 12 for me.
Verse 12, "The same must know it after death by pain."
But the Lord say, you gonna feel me. That's what he said. You gonna feel me for it's over with. That's what he is saying. You will feel me. You think that you gonna live your best life and you not have to account for the things that you're doing, that Paul just talked about, whether good or bad. We all have to stand before the judgment seat of Hamashiach Yahweh, who the world calls Jesus Christ. You will feel him. You know, shoot, I will feel him if I don't get my mind right. Let's go back to, let's read this one more time. Let's break it down now that we got an understanding.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 1. "Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again."
Keep reading.
And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thine own eye?
So again, we can't be hypocrites, man. You know, we have to, the beam that is in your own eye, a beam is like, you know, a long piece of wood or metal. So you trying to check a small pebble that's in your brother's eye, and your spirit ain't right. You ain't cleaned yourself up, right? So we can't be a hypocrite. Keep reading.
Verse 4, "Or how would thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye?"
So you done check your brother and said, "Hey, let me get that. Let me get that for you out your eye, man." You know, you tripping and you going off, man. You breaking the Sabbath, right? You don't have a beard on your face. Go ahead, keep reading verse 5.
Verse 5, thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
So when you check your spirit and you get your spirit right, you're going to be able to see clearly how to deal with your brother, man. So, man, you got to build yourself up, you know, keep the law, statutes, and commandments of God and the faith in Hamashiach Yahushua, the righteous, you know, and clean yourself up, and then you're going to be able to know how to deal with your brother, man. You know, but that was all I had, brothers. Hopefully it was edifying through the spirit.
I got one precept, man, we can end with.
God.
Ecclesiastes is a classic, you know, kind of sums up everything that you went over. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 and 14.
Classic. I probably spelled it wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, and verse 13. It reads, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Read. For
the Most High shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Hey, fear the Lord, keep the commandments. That's our whole duty, because the Most High gonna bring every work into judgment, every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Man, it's I believe it say in the book of Sirach, his eyes is you know, really strong, paraphrase. So he is basically nothing goes unseen for the Most High.
Brighter than something.
Yeah, right. I ain't want to mess it up, but you know, nothing is in secret, man. The Lord knows everything that's going on, and it will be brought into judgment. Very good precept, brother. Anybody had anything else? Man, I did want to say a couple things about the brother Martin Luther King. You know, the brother early on, man. You know, I respected a little of what the brother was doing. He was courageous early on for what he was trying to do or attempting to do for our people, man. Then he
just to go on what y'all was saying, the precept is Sirach 23 and 19. That the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Because the angels around you, whether you can see them or not, watching your every move, and it's being recorded. That's what that means. The angels watching everything.
The water, good bro.
Water.
But yeah, man. I just want to wrap it up with this. Yeah, man. I was. You know, the brother was very courageous early on, man. Then he kind of, you know, he really was being blackmailed and used as a pawn. You know, for the so-called white man. You know, Martin Luther King was a pawn, man. You know, we just gonna come out and say it. You know, he really contributed and was an asset, you know, for the federal government to cause harm or damage our people. You know what I'm saying? But that's why they exalt him in this society, man. You know, because he was an asset, man. He was a gatekeeper for the so-called white man, right? So, you know, like I said, man, the brother was very courageous early on. He was doing some courageous things, but he, you know, he had a speech where he said, you know, my fear that I've integrated my people into a burning house. And that's what he did. We're in this burning house now. You know, so, man, I did want to bring that out. But again, I don't want to be so hard on the brother because he did some courageous things early on for our people, right? But that's all I had. Brothers, before we shut it down.
I just wanted to say that point you said earlier. It was great. You said that the Bible is the most popular book in history, but yet people do not read it. So that just means really it's the most popular decoration for in history, because it's a prop. Because people definitely don't read that thing. It's in there just kicking up dust.
Just getting dusty, that's it. Just getting dusty. Because I know I wasn't reading it before I came into the knowledge.
No,
I think when I went out to school, my mom had put me some money in my Bible. You know what I'm saying? And I never knew it was in there because I never checked it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah. I had me one too. It was a New King James version. Just sitting up in there.
Sitting there collecting dust, man. But I appreciate y'all, man, for the precepts, tuning in through the spirit. Hope everybody was edified. I yield.
All praise.